$8 billion of client funds did not simply disappear into a market void. They were not lost to a sophisticated cyber attack from the outside, nor were they vaporized by a sudden, unpredictable shift in global economics. They were systematically siphoned through a digital portal, a single, deliberate line of code that exempted a sister company from the very laws of physics that governed every other user on the platform. When the digital dust settled on November 11, 2022, the world's third-largest cryptocurrency exchange was revealed to be a hollow shell. In less than a week, a $32 billion valuation had evaporated, leaving behind catastrophic losses for over 1 million creditors. This was not a traditional bankruptcy, it was a total systemic necrosis. The question that haunts the financial world is not just where the money went, but how a 30-year-old man in cargo shorts, heralded as the White Knight of crypto, managed to convince the world's most sophisticated venture capitalists to ignore the most basic principles of accounting. To understand the collapse, we must move past the headlines and perform a clinical dissection of the architecture of the lie. This is the forensic autopsy of FTX. To understand the scale of the failure, we must first establish the baseline of the patient's prestige. Before the collapse, FTX was not just another exchange, it was the crown jewel of the digital asset world. The patient presented an image of unparalleled stability and intellectual superiority. Its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, known globally as SBF, was the perfect candidate for institutional trust. A graduate of MIT and a former trader at the elite Jane Street Capital, he spoke the language of high-frequency finance with the casual confidence of someone who had mastered it. Unlike the libertarian outsiders who built the early crypto world, SBF courted regulators. He sat in front of Congress. He held private meetings with the SEC. He positioned FTX as the adult in the room, the bridge between the chaotic frontier of crypto and the regulated halls of Wall Street. By 2021, the patient was flourishing. FTX had secured the naming rights to the Miami Heat's arena. They ran star-studded Super Bowl commercials. They were backed by the absolute elite of the venture capital world, including Sequoia Capital, BlackRock, and the Ontario Teachers' Pension Plan. SBF himself was the face of effective altruism, a philosophy claiming that his pursuit of billions was merely a means to save the world. He appeared on magazine covers as the next Warren Buffett, a man who slept on a beanbag in his office and drove a Corolla while managing an empire. This was the patient at its peak, a $32 billion entity that supposedly possessed the most advanced risk engine in the industry. It was perceived as a utility, a trusted infrastructure for the future of money. However, beneath this veneer of institutional-grade stability, a lethal pathology was already spreading through the corporate nervous system. The disease that killed FTX was a terminal lack of corporate separation. In a healthy financial organism, an exchange functions as a neutral platform, a digital marketplace where buyers and sellers meet. It does not take sides. It does not gamble. Most importantly, it keeps its own money entirely separate from the money belonging to its customers. But the autopsy of the FTX codebase revealed a specific hidden anomaly. Deep within the software that managed the exchange's risk, there was a parameter known as allow negative. In a normal environment, if a trader's account balance falls below zero, the system's risk engine automatically closes their positions to protect the platform. This is the immune system of a financial exchange. However, the allow negative flag was a bypass. It was granted to a single entity, Alameda Research, SBF's private hedge fund. This digital backdoor effectively gave Alameda a $65 billion line of credit, funded entirely by the deposits of FTX's unsuspecting customers. To understand how this disease remained hidden for so long, we must examine the circular valuation loop. FTX created its own digital currency, the FTT token. They kept the vast majority of these tokens for themselves and released only a small fraction to the public. By manipulating the price of that small fraction, they created a massive paper-only valuation for the tokens they still held. Alameda Research then used these manufactured, highly illiquid FTT tokens as collateral to borrow real money, actual Bitcoin and US dollars, from the FTX exchange. It was a closed loop. They were using money they had invented to borrow money that belonged to their customers. The disease was now systemic. FTX was no longer a neutral exchange. It was a personal piggy bank for a hedge fund that was making increasingly desperate and unsuccessful bets. The customer deposits were being siphoned off to fund venture capital investments, massive political donations, and a $30 million luxury penthouse in the Bahamas. The risk engine was nothing more than a theatrical prop. The patient was technically dead long before the symptoms appeared. It was simply waiting for an external shock to reveal the internal rot. In finance, a Ponzi-like structure can survive as long as trust remains intact. But trust is a fragile foundation. The terminal event for FTX began on November 2, 2022, with the leak of a private balance sheet from Alameda Research. This document revealed a chilling reality. The foundation of SBF's multi-billion-dollar empire was built on a foundation of his own manufactured tokens. The reaction was a clinical bank run. On November 6th, the CEO of Binance, the world's largest exchange and a former investor in FTX, announced he would sell his firm's entire holding of FTT tokens. In the world of high-stakes finance, this was a declaration of war. Once the market realized the safe exchange might not be safe at all, the panic became irreversible. Over the next 72 hours, the liquidity crunch turned into a total cardiac arrest. Within a single 24-hour window, panicked customers attempted to withdraw $5 billion. In a healthy exchange, this is a non-issue, as the assets are held one-to-one in a vault. But at FTX, the vault was empty. The money had already been lent to Alameda to cover their catastrophic trading losses. By the second day of the crisis, the patient was in full organ failure. SBF desperately reached out to every major player in Silicon Valley and Wall Street, begging for an emergency infusion of $8 billion to plug the hole. He was met with silence. No sophisticated investor would touch a balance sheet that lacked even the most basic accounting records. In fact, it was later discovered that the company didn't even have a formal accounting department. They were managing a multi-billion-dollar global empire using off-the-shelf software intended for small businesses. A tentative rescue deal by Binance offered a brief moment of hope, but it lasted less than a day. After a few hours of reviewing the actual books of FTX, Binance backed out, stating that the problems were beyond their control or ability to help. The realization hit the market like blunt force trauma. There was no rescue coming. On November 11th, the empire collapsed. FTX, Alameda Research, and over 130 affiliated entities filed for bankruptcy. The White Knight had fallen, leaving behind a crime scene of unprecedented proportions. The final verdict on the death of FTX is a case of gross institutional hubris and deliberate deception. John J. Ray III, the insolvency expert brought in to clean up the wreckage, the same man who oversaw the liquidation of Enron, stated that in his entire career he had never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls or such a total absence of trustworthy financial information. The core reason for the death was not the complexity of cryptocurrency or the volatility of the markets. It was the oldest fraud in history: taking someone else's money and pretending it is yours. The back door in the code was not a technical error, it was a deliberate bypass of the platform's immune system. The lesson for the business world is chilling. High-level prestige, celebrity endorsements, and a genius founder are not substitutes for audited balance sheets and independent oversight. The patient was allowed to die because everyone assumed someone else was checking the vitals. The venture capitalists assumed the regulators were watching, the regulators assumed the auditors were watching, and the customers assumed the White Knight was who he claimed to be. FTX did not fail because the technology was flawed. It failed because the people running it believed they were smarter than the math. In the end, the math always wins, and it does so with a cold, clinical finality. The markets never forget, but they do forgive the next fraud. Subscribe to Financial Autopsy to see who falls next.